And welcome to Wish You Were Here Today. Well, it's time to sit back and do a little bit of travelling in your armchair and think about where you'd like to go on holiday this year. Or even better, why not just win this year's holiday in the next 20 minutes or so? This is where you could be going if you win our competition. And here's the question that you have to answer. Lines are open right now, so get dialing. And if you're today's winner, you'll know by the end of the programme. So you could have this year's holiday sorted before you know it. But first up, we're off to the Caribbean, which is just the place to go if you're looking for luxury five-star hotels or all-inclusive family resorts. Well, as Judy said, the wet season is from June till October. Now, it was a little bit more than wet last year. September saw the Caribbean battered by some devastating weather in the form of Hurricane Ivan. Happily, St. Lucia wasn't affected, so it's very much business as usual there. Now, how do you like the idea of winning a holiday? Sound good? Well, you've still got time to enter today's competition. Well, like I said earlier, we'll be announcing the winner's name at the end of the show, so you don't have to wait very long at all. And we've still got all of this to come on Wish You Were Here Today. Welcome back to Wish You Were Here Today. Now, during the 1980s, Yugoslavia was a package holiday favourite. That was one of the many things that changed during the war there in the 1990s. I mean, the country as it was doesn't even exist anymore. I went to Dubrovnik in Croatia to see how the city'd moved on. They call it Europe's best preserved medieval city. British visitors have been a bit thin on the ground since the conflict, but we're coming back.
Oh.
So what exactly does this city have to offer? What's enticed all of these hundreds of people here? Well, the first point is pretty obvious. It looks fantastic, and its past is fascinating. Not to say traumatic. Earthquakes, civil war, sieges, it's had its fair share of history. Considering its more recent past, Dubrovnik looks very well preserved. Although I probably should say it looks very well restored. During the siege of Dubrovnik from 91 to 92, the old town was absolutely blasted by shells. 68% of the buildings suffered direct hits. Though looking at it, you can't really tell unless you know what to look for. These tiles here, though, are a dead giveaway. They find it quite difficult to match the old to the new. I'm here for a week, and walking the city walls, lovely though they are, won't keep me occupied. So what else is there? You could easily spend a day just losing yourself in the old town. Cars aren't allowed inside the city walls, so it's safe and pollution-free. This street is actually full of shops, but the reason you can't see any of them is because they're not allowed to have signs hanging outside. Which means, of course, you have to go inside every single one of them just so you know what's there. That could take an afternoon. Then there's the sightseeing, lots of it. This is the 14th century Franciscan monastery. Even here you'll come across reminders of the siege. There are 17 churches in the city. Most famous of the lot, the Church of St. Blaise. There are statues of St. Blaise dotted all round Dubrovnik because he's seen as the defender of the city. And remarkably, during the siege, there were no direct hits on the main body of this church at all. I'm staying outside the old town on the Lapad Peninsula. The hotel has a small beach and this big concrete sun deck area. Now, it's obviously a cold day towards the end of the season, so I'm not putting on my bikini for anybody. But normally, I'd happily spend a couple of days sunbathing here. It's a lovely setting. There's a really nice view out over the islands, and some of the rooms here have a fantastic sea view. Unfortunately, mine's not one of them. It's very compact in here, very much a sleeping room only, but it is newly decorated and I do have a balcony. Now, this is something which I found very useful. It's a What's On in Dubrovnik guide, which I've just picked up in the hotel reception. And there's a concert on tonight, which I want to go and check out. So it's back to the old town again for a classical recital by the Dubrovnik Symphony Orchestra. A seat for this concert will cost you just less than £10, but it is advisable to book in advance. If you don't mind standing, just roll up on the night like I have, and it'll cost you less than £3, starting. By the end of the 12th century, Dubrovnik was a seriously busy port. It was a stopping-off point for traders and also crusaders. In fact, Richard the Lionheart was washed ashore somewhere not far from here. Now, there's still plenty of boats here today, but of a rather different type. A slice of Puerto Banús or Can, right here in Croatia. No wonder it's good sailing territory. If you'd rather someone else took the helm, you could catch a ferry to one of the Elefiti Islands and take in the scenery. Or you could do a little bit of shopping. Island shopping. This is Daxa and it's for sale. A snip at £2.5 million. Need some time to think about it? No problem, the island of Lopud is just the place to get away from it all. Especially on a day like today. You could take a day trip to Čilipi, a few kilometres south of Dubrovnik. Every Sunday, the villagers revert to local costume. A small pillbox hat denotes a single woman. A large white hat means she's married. The folklore show in the square is popular with tourists and locals. But it's Dubrovnik itself that's the main attraction. I always seem to end up back in the old town. There's something very seductive about this place. And as for the question, is there enough here to do for 7 days? Well, I think in the height of the summer, when you've got good weather and you can make use of all the beaches and the islands, I think there's easily enough to do here for 2 weeks. Well, that's all from me for this week. I'll be back again on Monday with some more holiday ideas for you. Now, all that's left is for us to announce today's competition winner. Don't worry if today's not your lucky day, because we're giving away 5 more fantastic holidays next week. I'll see you then.